Hey, what's up? So this morning I'm doing something that could be a little bit ill-advised. I'm on Acadia National Park's peninsula right now. You can look outside a little bit. You can only see the road right now. It's not the most impressive thing ever. But I slept out here in Acadia National Park in Maine last night with no intentions of doing what I'm about to do. Woke up to a rainstorm. It is storming outside right now. And I started driving around the park. No one's here. So I thought, what a good day to attempt one of the hardest hikes in Acadia, which is Acadia Peak. As far as I can tell, it's the tallest mountain on the island out here, or the peninsula. I'm not positive that's true, but I'm gonna go with it right now. It's supposed to be a 4.5-mile hike. It supposedly has some like really intense scrambling, some crazy stuff going on, and we're gonna go do it in a rainstorm, and I'm really excited. So I'm taking you with me. I'm charging you up right now, charging up the camera so we can make it through the full hike. But here we go, baby. 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday. No one's here. We're gonna get this done. So right as we're starting, I just want to say, if you haven't been to Acadia National Park yet, welcome to Acadia National Park. This is the forest, very cool coastal forest where the salt water and the fresh water blends. But by far my favorite part about the hiking trail so far is that you start at sea level and all the mountains go up little rock staircases like this, like straight up these hiking trails. And it is hard hiking, despite the fact Acadia Mountain is only about 646 feet above sea level. It feels like a hard hike because you gotta go straight up little trails and mountain goat your way up the side of these mountains. And it's so fun. But if you want to see the benefit of the hard hiking, we've only hiked 10 minutes and we're already getting up above the tree line where we can see Echo Lake over here. This is going to be a cool one. We're getting close. I think we're here. I think we're here. Let's go. Hey, there it is. Top of Acadia Mountain. Here we go. There we go, man. Oh my goodness. Not a super clear view today, but I almost like it a little bit more on days like this because there's mystery about. One of the special things about this Acadia forest over here is that even though there have been people here for many thousands of years, it feels wild still. It feels mystical because the forest is so thick. The fog rolls in, the ocean's right here, the weather's so intense, like the rainstorms this morning, that somehow, despite there being so many people here, this land still manages to hold on to mystery. Like where you look and you wonder, what's over that hill? What's over here? So the misty mornings, I think, are particularly special times to get out and enjoy this wilderness, because this is when it's at its purest. You can hear the birds on the wind. Maybe we'll even get lucky and get to see a whale come up the coast while we're out here. This is Acadia Mountain, and I'm so happy I did it when the conditions weren't absolutely perfect. So we'll start the walk down. I did do some research on some of the trees and wildlife around here, so before we finish up this video, I want to show you some of the cool trees around this part of the world. But let's start wrapping up and heading back. I'll probably stay a little bit longer. If you want to stay, you got to come to Acadia and check this place out for yourself. But I'll see you down when we're heading down the mountain in just a few minutes. I took my undershirt off to get a thumbnail on the edge of the mountain, and it turns out that the forest at 44 degrees is a lot warmer when you have your shirt on. So we gotta move and stay warm here. Let's keep moving and talk about some trees now. All right, so the only way to talk about trees is to talk a little bit about tree ecology. If you don't know, I was an ecological restoration major back in college. I love trees. They litter the landscape. They connect everything together. They provide shelter for everything. And they create these awesome little microclimates like up here in the east. So in the west, we have these massive, massive mountains that create a lot of protected area for trees to grow without getting wrecked by the wind. Here in the east, there's not as many big mountains, especially over here in Acadia, right on the coast. So you get a lot of wind. Now we're on the east-west side facing part of the mountain, which means it's more protected from the ocean breeze, which means the trees are just starting to grow taller. You can see this one a little kind of gnarled and gnarly over here on the edge, and then right next to it, as you start to get further down, you have these taller, bigger trees. So both these are two-needled pines. This one's a jack pine, I believe, closely related to lodgepole pines over in the western coast. And then this right here is the red pine, which is closely related to ponderosa trees over in the west coast as well. Both two-needled pines, both slightly different, both serve basically the same ecological role. These are very long-lived trees that will grow to make big stands, and then they usually burn in mass fashion, like 300 years, 350 years. And most trees like this, I don't know these ones specifically, but looking at the pine cones, I think I'm right. Most trees like this actually need fire as part of their cycle to be able to release their seeds after the fire comes through. So it burns a little bit of the wax or a little bit of the resin holding the seeds in, and the seeds fall into the fertile ashy ground and rebloom for another 350 years. Ponderosa is more of the dominant species that will grow up and self-prune itself, so it's so far above where the fire level would be that usually ponderosas can live through several fires. This isn't a ponderosa, it's a red pine, so they're all a little bit different, but same typical ecological role. Let's keep moving. Now as we get down into the wetter, more protected part of the mountain, we're looking at cedar trees. Thuja plicata, the red cedar of the west coast, is one of my favorite trees because they're alleliopathic and they've been proven to talk. They're so smart that they talk, and then they can slowly kill off other species of the forest until they're the only one left. So they'll send mega doses of poison to one tree at a time over in the west, which is crazy. I think it's so awesome. I don't know if that's true for eastern trees, eastern cedars like this one is right here, but they are probably pretty similar, or like with their role here as well. So this is, you can tell that they're a cedar tree because first they have these scaly leaves, these scaly pine needles. You compare that to something like we were seeing up above, like this right here, and you can see the pine needles are very different. So this is still a pine tree. This is looks like a red pine tree right here, because it has those long, wispy, two-needled clusters. This one doesn't have needled clusters. It has little scaly needles that come out of it. So then you also can tell by the stripy bark. These are cedar trees, and they have they're very shade tolerant, so they can grow in places where there's a big canopy like this. And then they also really, really need water. Same thing is for these spruce trees over here. I'm pretty sure there's 3 different kinds of spruce trees here. This isn't a blue spruce. There's a red spruce, and then there's a Norway spruce. I'm pretty sure this is a red spruce tree right here. You could tell by the color of the bark a little bit, and because these needles aren't like segmented like on the Norway spruce. But anyways, these trees also more water dependent, a little more shade tolerant tree. And there's a lot of spruces over here on the east coast. I don't know enough to tell you exactly why that is. There's more here than there is in the west, but these spruce trees are pretty beautiful, and you can tell they're a spruce tree. You look at the needles here, they don't have long fascicles like little bunches of 2 needles, and they're not scaled like the cedar tree. Instead, they grow at every angle around the branch that they're coming off of. They grow up, some grow down, some grow to the sides. That's unique to spruce trees. Oh my gosh, this is not a tree I was expecting to find. You can see the little curved top tree right here. This is a hemlock tree, actually not a species of tree that I have seen over in the eastern coast so far. This is probably an eastern hemlock, as I'd guess the common species name. Over in the west coast, they are just this beautiful tree that gets an almost purple bark as they get old and mature. You can see its bark right here. It's a unique among the trees, among the forest right now. And they're little like perfect clusters that hold little drops of water for you. So if you want a rainwater drink, hemlock trees are the way to do it. There's one more tree I want to find that has the best story of any tree over on the East Coast, but it's proving difficult. We're gonna find it though. So as sad as it is, I don't think we're gonna find an eastern white pine. That was the tree I wanted to show you in this video. I walked all the way down from the top of the mountain to the lake. I found the best maybe swimming area that I found so far, but not a single eastern white pine. I was looking at them just yesterday over in Ellsworth, but today does not seem to be the day to find them. I'll tell you the story anyways though. The eastern white pine is a 5-needled pine tree that is actually endangered in a lot of places in the West because of a fungus called blister rust that bubbles up underneath the bark, kills the trees, and prevents them from growing as big and as tall as they used to be to grow. However, over in the East Coast, they're much more plentiful, and they were so popular when Britain first colonized the United States that the King of Britain reserved every white pine tree in the United States for Britain's use only. The reason why is because the white pine's tree's trunk grows taller and straighter and sturdier than just about any other tree faster. So Britain wanted all of them to use for the masts of their sail ships, which was a really cool story. It's actually kind of fascinating as well, because you could argue that the white pine tree, the eastern white pine, is the only tree that had played a role in the United States Revolution, because colonists also wanted to use those trees for their lumber. So when Britain said, no, you don't get to touch any of the white pine trees in your backyard, the United States was like, well, I don't know if this is going to work out, Britain. Suddenly we had a revolution. So it's kind of a fun story. We're going to end this video right there though. Thank you for coming with me to Acadia National Park. It's an absolutely magical place. I actually love it when it rains as well. Definitely coming back here for a swim. Stay wild, be free, and I'll see you soon.